Hello, hope everyone's doing well this evening, depending where you're listening to me from. But I just wanted to come on here and not necessarily talk about the technicalities of what has happened this week regarding planes, but just to come on here and kind of just get a feel for how everyone is taking this in. So far, at least from what I've heard tonight, there has been 3 plane incidents, major incidents within the past week. Now, there could be more because it always depends on what the media tends to put out. But on major news, there's been major incidences where on 2 major occasions, lives have been taken. And then one other, in this recent one that I just heard in Houston, lives could have been taken on a commercial jet. Now, I don't want to get into the details because everyone's talking about it, including the news, and they could probably break it down better than I can. In fact, I know they can break it down, but I will just start with the first one where, in the Washington, D.C., that was definitely unfortunate. Um, that is really scary because
Mhm.
from what I've gathered, the helicopter was not supposed to be flying that high, but I guess they're still doing an investigation. So we don't have a definite conclusion. But from what we know, the helicopter is flying or was flying higher than it was supposed to, which unfortunately caused about 67 people to lose their lives. Very, very sad. Now, just with me, like, I feel like the older I get, not even I feel like, I know the older I get, the more scared I am to fly. I've been on maybe, let's just say, over 500 flights, if not way more. I've flown all my life, but I get scared every time I get on a plane. And as I get older, my anxiety is growing. But this is very unfortunate. And I think I always hear people say that, hey, well, traveling through a plane is one of the most safest transportations. But for me, it's more about the control, right? At least if I'm driving in the vehicle, I could at least try to avoid the accident. And let's just say I don't avoid the accident, I'm still on the ground, okay? There's still a higher chance for me to survive on the ground, you know, than in the air. And it could go either way. It's not guaranteed just because you're on the ground, but with the way my brain, goes, I have a better chance since I'm the one, driving the vehicle who has full control of the vehicle, even though someone who is not paying attention or whatever, whatever, they just try to hit me or, something goes wrong, I can at least try to avoid that. And I have done that all my life. Um, I haven't been in a collision like that. The only collisions I've been in is where my car is parked and someone just hits it. I'm not even in the car. So I definitely do know that I'm actually a very, very good driver. I grew up in Germany. Trust me, driving on the Autobahn, I can maneuver. I should probably be a speed a race driver, but I'm not. But this is absolutely crazy. So it's let me get back to the point. So unfortunately, we lost 67 lives just because the plane decided to go higher fly higher. And I also heard that they were also wearing night vision goggles, which I'm not sure about the training. I'm not in the military or anything like that, but I was just curious to why they were doing that. I'm pretty sure they had a good reason, but I feel like that's kind of dangerous because how are you able to see the lights in front of you? But I have, my it could just be my ignorance right now because I don't know why you do it, but I'm sure they have some justification on why that is done. So unfortunately, that happened. That occurred. The next one was in Philadelphia, where you have a medevac plane just basically crashed into ground. It looked like a fireball. I don't know. I'm pretty sure most people listening to this saw the ring cam where they captured basically a fireball falling from, the universe onto the ground. Wow, that was crazy. You could hear it falling and it just made a big explosion. And then you saw the aftermath the next morning. That is unfortunate and crazy. From what I understand on that one, and I was actually listening to, um, I guess that he's a previous pilot or he has some kind of like aviation experience. Basically, when they were looking at the knots and basically the speed they were going, it was apparent that the pilot lost control of the plane, and due to all the fuel in the plane, you know, the end product was it exploding and getting as big as it was. And the third incident is the one in Houston where they were just about to take off. The plane had just turned onto the runway and was just about to lift off, and that engine caught fire. And thank God they were still on the ground. See, I like being on the ground. Ground is great. Um, when they saw that, because imagine being in the air. Okay. Imagine being in the air, that thing falling down. Imagine, you know, they do a maneuver and hit another plane. All sorts of scenarios could have happened from being in the air, but thankfully they were on the ground and hopefully I haven't heard anyone getting hurt or injured, but I'm just glad that it wasn't another incident. But that being said is I just don't wanna fly anymore, let me just get to the point. For a little bit. For I know it's not gonna be forever, but it makes someone wonder what is actually going on. Um, one of my theories is I've just noticed over time in the US after, that 2020 era, I don't wanna say the word, it seems like everything, service and products have just been losing, um, what is the good word to say? It's just service is not as how it was before. It's not valuable, not only valuable, but you don't even get it's hard to find good service. It's hard to find good products. It's not the same. It's like everything's crumbling and people are just letting things go. Lots of companies are taking shortcuts to save money. It's and I've noticed that with just basic things like even fast food. I refuse to eat fast food anymore, but when I do, it has to be like I go to a restaurant, a sit down restaurant. But it's just amazing, like the quality of goods and service have just basically diminished over, the past 4 or 5 years. And I feel like that is the same thing that is going on in the industry. For example, like, maintenance for planes, maintenance for anything. Remember how during the year 2020 they were cleaning everything? Oh my gosh. It seems like nobody knows how to pick up a towel anymore and clean things. They don't even hire people to clean the bathrooms. They don't, it's disgusting. And I think they're cutting corners on maintenance and planes, and this is why we're seeing all these um, horrific incidents. The second thing is, which I guess goes along with the first point I made, is that they were printing a whole bunch of money during 2020, and I think the company spent it, and now they have ran out of money or are running out of money, and so they're taking shortcuts. They're taking shortcuts and they're just not doing the things that they're supposed to do. They don't want to test, and if they could cut a corner here, cut a corner there, that's what they're doing. And this is why we're seeing these planes do what they're doing. Um, this is amazing. The third point, I guess, is also along with companies cutting corners and not wanting to spend the money. I think the employees are also kind of just whatever. They're just like, whatever, someone else is going to do it, or I don't have to do anything. Let me give you an example. Like, people are so glued to their phones right now where they don't pay attention to anything, not only on a day-to-day basis where someone's crossing the street and like walking into a pole, but there's been so many times where like these restaurants I go to, literally the salad bar or something is out. The lettuce is out, something's out. Instead of like them paying attention to refill it, okay, they're on TikTok or they're talking, they're not paying attention to anything. And that's just like a basic example, but I've seen that almost everywhere. People are so concerned about gossiping or just joking around with their employees. They're not actually paying attention to their job until someone else calls it out. Like, for example, when I was like, hey, do you have any more lettuce? And they're like, oh, and I'm like, you were just standing there for the past 15 minutes not doing anything. You were just joking, and that's your job to do. But this is what is happening in other industries. And I'm sure it's happening in the medical industry, aviation industry, engineering industry, all kinds of industries. And we're just witnessing a crumbling of actual care and quality over time. It is sad and unfortunate, but all this just makes me scared to do anything. I can't be scared for long because at the end of the day, I have to live my life. But I just don't think I want to fly anytime soon until all this pattern, just falls out of the way. Because to be honest, when I saw the first one, my conspiracy mind was like, "There's going to be another one," and then it happened. And then when that happened, I was like, "Ooh, there might be a third one." And that happened. I was like, "Okay, I'm done." I was like, "I'm done. I'm not going to fly anymore. This is absolutely crazy." But yeah, I'm supposed to catch a plane next week, and I don't think that's gonna happen. I think I'm gonna cancel that because I like the ground. But yeah, it's very scary out here. I just wish people would pay attention. Yes, I understand sometimes work could be boring, but at the same time, just be cautious and careful and also concerned of what you do because yeah, you might not want to refill that salad or yeah, I could complain about the salad not being refilled, but you could be in an industry where it does affect people's lives, okay? And sorry, that word sorry is not going to cut it. Okay, people love to say sorry for anything, even if they mean it or don't mean it. But sorry is definitely not going to cut it. So I wish people out here would pay more attention to what they're doing and who they're working for. And if you don't want to be in that industry, just get out. Okay, people complain all day, well, I can't find a job in this, and they'll take any old job and just don't want to do anything. But please just be mindful of what you're doing. But yes, it's very unfortunate. My heart goes out to all the people who are suffering through this because, you know, there's nothing you can do once you lose a life. It's very sad. Um, and I hope people, you know, just take this as a lesson that they need to be more cautious or more mindful and also to enjoy life because you never really know when it can end. It could be the next hour, 2 days, 3 days, next year. So live your life, And remember, sometimes what you're going through is temporary. You know, it's temporary and sometimes you can, you know, I don't want to say get over it, but I want to say things are temporary that are hurting you, but also things are temporary that are good for you. So just be grateful, just live in the moment. I know it's, it's easier said than done, but honestly, life, it's up and down. It could go sideways. But if you just take time to enjoy the moment, you might get a different perspective on not everything's bad. It's just called life. Not everything is just good. It's just called life. But just take time to be thankful for the people around you. Thankful that you can speak, that you can hear, that you can see, that you can smell. You know, yeah, you missed that red light, or sorry, you missed that green light, but you know what? Sometimes it could be for a reason. Don't let me start on my whole my whole energy and vibration speech, but yeah, I hope everyone's enjoying their night, morning, wherever you are listening to this. I hope you guys are enjoying your life, enjoying this moment, and just be mindful um, of the things out there. I hope to speak to you again soon, and good night.